guys, welcome to another episode of Traffic Light Reviews. My name is Michael Munoz.
And I'm Steven Munoz, and on today's episode, we are going to be reviewing the Disney original, the the smash Broadway hit that was filmed on the stage and recently released on Disney Plus, Hamilton.
Yes.
Now, this show, I was trying to get tickets. I think a lot of New Yorkers were trying to get tickets for.
I was not. It's too expensive.
No. Well, even the lottery, like every day,
they did a lottery for
you know
that
they do
show.
the lottery online. They do a lottery.
Yes.
And every day you enter, you see if they send you an email by
I remember that.
2 p.m. something, and you got to pick them up.
I did do that.
So yes, I tried to do it. My wife even said she tried to get tickets. She was trying to do it. Like you would try it every day.
Right.
And we were like, oh, if we get on a day we're going to work, you're gonna call out. Yeah, why not? It was, the most talked about show in New York, and now we finally get to see it. It makes sense that they released something new in the midst of all of this happening in the world to give us something that, who knows, we probably may not see again, with Broadway being suspended all the way till 2021. Wow, so, there's nothing left this year for Broadway. So you might as well give us the biggest show out there and put it on Disney Plus. Disney was smart enough to grab this up.
Right.
And I really think that when it comes to stage productions that are filmed,
right,
there's a lot of different ways you can do it that will help tell the story or not, because a lot of times, will the camera movements help? Will it just look like, cameras just doing close-ups here and there? How will they make it?
Let's tell them what it is first. Let's tell them what the show is, just to give them a little brief.
The idea of like bringing to life a stage production.
Right.
You know what I mean? And the idea that this show has high expectations already. It won the Tony. It won 11 Tonys, something like that. And it's so when you bring it to the small screen, there's a lot to live up to. And also, is it worth it? Because a lot of times in the past, sometimes these productions just have fallen flat. Like you watch it and it didn't give you the same feeling in the actual a theater room than you did just watching it at home.
True.
So I know that's a big part some people had, some reservations against, but the story of Alexander Hamilton is one that, funny tidbit, I don't know if you knew this, they were going to change the $10, the $20 bill. They were going to put different people on it. I think Harriet Tubman was due to be on the 20 or something.
Oh, yes, you're talking about recently.
No, this was a few years ago.
Yeah.
Because Hamilton came out, they stopped that. Alexander Hamilton's on the $10 bill. And because the show got so successful and pretty much brought Alexander Hamilton back into relevancy, people are like, who's this guy in a $10 bill? You watch this show, you learn exactly who it is. You get a full, thorough history of this man, everything that he went through. He was not like the rest of the founding fathers. And he still gets to live on the $10 bill. To me, that's truly amazing, just that little factoid,
Well, the whole hype behind the show it wasn't that it was just a retelling of the story of Alexander Hamilton. One, it's a musical. Two, it's a hip-hop musical. So the story is told with the hip-hop flair. And three, it is almost 99% cast Black, Hispanic, minority actors and actresses. Because the whole premise behind the movie is the story takes place mostly in New York, back in 1776, all the way to about 1800 or 1815, around that time. Yeah. And, the creators of the show, Lin-Manuel Miranda, wanted to have the have the cast members reflect the melting pot that is New York City today. And that was one of the big controversies behind the show, because a lot of people were just like, why is there a Dominican dude playing George Washington?
But George, that guy's half black, half white?
He is. I call him Dominican because I'm mistaken. I am mistaken. And
No, I thought that at first too, because he was in the Heights.
Yes, he was. He was in the Heights. Yes.
And then
Benny.
I saw like a thing about him. And he said, this is weird for me because I'm half black, half white, but I'm playing a Dominican. And I was like, oh, wow, no, yeah. Everybody thought like he looked more Dominican than Jeter.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, me and Steven, we grew up being a part of musical theater. Like you went to LaGuardia School of Performing Arts. You were the star of your opera, Orpheus in the Underworld. I worked on a few smaller musicals myself. We both love musical theater. We now obviously we can't go see musical theater all the time because it's very expensive. Thank you very much, Broadway. But we enjoy watching it. So yes, I was extremely excited when I found out that Hamilton was coming to Disney Plus because I have Disney Plus. I subscribe to Disney Plus, so I get to watch it. I wanted to see this. Tickets were going for like $1,000 a piece. It was crazy. And the truth is, I've been a fan of Lin-Manuel Miranda and his you know, theaterography, whatever you want to call it, since In the Heights. I remember the first time I saw it. In fact, I'm gonna shout him out. My brother Steven had a solo at a Latino conference slash festival slash something.
Aspira, that organization in New York.
Aspira. They were having sort of what was this day?
It was just like their yearly, because Aspira is a big organization throughout the high schools in New York.
Okay.
And I even think it even has a place in some colleges, some of the CUNYs.
Right. Yes.
So
yeah.
and it's a Latin organization. It's one of the biggest Latin organizations in schools in New York City. So this was their yearly thing.
Yearly what event?
Like show
the conference.
I even got like a scholarship for like $1,000 for college.
Well, Steven had a solo. Okay, he was singing a Spanish song sung by Mark Anthony on stage. Me and my father, we went to see it just to watch him perform. And, Dad was crying because Steven did so great. But before all that, they had a keynote speaker come out. And the keynote speaker was Lin-Manuel Miranda. And I remember thinking, who the hell's this guy? Why is he the keynote speaker? I don't care. He looks like he's 12. Sorry, Lin. I don't mean that. That was just how I felt at the time. I think you're awesome. But he talked about In the Heights. It becomes this major sensation on Broadway. I was lucky enough to do the lottery. And I won like 3 times.
Wow.
I've seen the show on Broadway 5 times.
Jesus.
Yup. I paid full price for us to go see it with Mom and Dad. You couldn't make it.
I messed up. Yeah.
And then I saw it 3 times on my own. And then one time a friend of mine invited me to the show. Because she had made a donation to some Latin theater company. And they gave her 2 tickets plus a chance to go on stage after the show and meet with some of the actors, and that's what I did. I stood on the stage of In the Heights, and I said, one day I'm going to be here. Clearly, I was wrong. So I'm not there. But ever since then, like anything Lin-Manuel does, like I'm a huge fan of. I love Moana. But it's not really just because he did it. His work is great. Yeah. His work is great. I dig his music. I dig his flair. He does have a certain style, and he puts that in a show like Hamilton, which is very different because In the Heights is the story of his neighborhood, the Latino community, the Bronx. So you can have that flair.
Washington Heights.
Yeah. Oh, and the movie's coming out too.
Yeah. No, it's called The Heights, man. The Heights.
In the Heights.
You just said the Bronx.
The Bronx, that's where he's from, right?
No, man.
Washington Heights. Oh, that's Manhattan. This shows you how much I know. My parents moved us out of the Bronx when I was 4, and I've only been back to visit since. But no, the point is, it's a very unusual thing to see the story of Alexander Hamilton, played by a half Puerto Rican, half Dominican, George Washington, played by a half black, half white guy, looks like he's Dominican, and then Aaron Burr, played by an African American, male. It's just an awesome show to watch. I'm not a big fan of hip hop. I've never been a big fan of hip hop, but I appreciate the art that's involved in hip hop, the art of storytelling, the art of poetry through music, and Lin-Manuel Miranda is a master at that. He is a master, and not only that, he's a master of performing those lyrics to the music that he writes and puts together. He nails it. The story is great. The production value is great. I do think that you're absolutely right. When you watch a filmed stage production, it's never going to be like it is when you're sitting in the audience, feeling the bass, feeling the music, feeling the intensity, hearing the pop, feeling the heat of the lights, like the electricity in the room is always more intense than when you watch it at home. I do feel that the director of the film version did do their very best to get that feeling as heightened as possible for home viewing. Because there were certain shots that are in the show that's filmed
Yeah.
that you can't see when you're on stage.
Yeah.
For example, one small tidbit is when we first see King George. And our introduction to King George is from backstage, from him walking out onto the stage in the darkness into his spotlight. That's something that's for us, the home viewers, that the audience could have never gotten. And we got that moment before we actually see his face, which was kind of cool. There were things like that. There's a lot of close-ups where the camera's on stage with the actors, circling the actors. It really tried to heighten the intensity of the show as best as they could. You're not going to get what you would get if you were sitting in the audience. But the show is still really good. I have no frame of reference. I've never seen it on stage. But I got to tell you, I got everything I needed from watching the show. I had a blast. I loved it. I've seen it. I watch a little bit of it like every day. Every day I play like, 10, 20 minutes of it. I bought the soundtrack after that. Like, I just really dig the show. And I have a very personal. I feel like I'm rambling. I'm sorry. I'm taking up all our time here.
No, I do think that when it comes to one of the things I've read about, the idea that Lin-Manuel is only good if Lin-Manuel writes it. Well, you can't say that about every single writer.
Right.
Like not every single writer can perform their own work and give it the justice it deserves. You know what I mean?
True.
If anything,
that's very true.
I feel like, yeah, it may come across as pretentious, what have you. You can believe whatever you want. He is the best at doing that. Like one of the things I felt bad for In the Heights, like it ended up closing because like he was Uznavi. You know what I mean? He needed to stay in that show in order for it to live. And then once they got different people, it's like you didn't come to see them, you came to see Lin-Manuel. Like that's how good he is. So with this, I swear, if it would have been with a different, if it was anything else but the original cast, there's no point to watch it.
Right.
I kind of almost feel that way with In the Heights, the movie. Like it's funny. I think Lin-Manuel plays the Piragua guy.
He played the Piragua guy in the film version, and the guy who's playing Usnavi in the movie played him on stage. For a few of the performances.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was the closing performances, but he played Usnavi on stage as well.
I just know that when you are able to, and it's not to say that no one else can. I mean, hell, Eminem with his rap challenge, with his song Godzilla, his fast rap challenge, people even doing it faster than him. And people can take your work and do something even more with it. But when it comes to, the original, the true storytelling aspect of what it was intended for, I think there's a reason why. He always makes a joke every time he's interviewed. He's like, Hamilton, I'm this age writing Hamilton. I only have 2 Broadway plays. By this age, Alexander Hamilton had like all these trees, all these things. He started the financial, like Hamilton's way more accomplished than me. Yes, that's fine if you're going by just age, but if you're going by sheer talent, why it took him 7 years to write this play, why it took him 9 years to write In the Heights, his perfectionism is there so much so that he will make it perfect. You know what I mean? It will be worth your time, and there's no way in hell that it'll be anything but short of amazing. Yeah. And it's funny how you could ask yourself, how does a hip hop musical take New York by storm? The Broadway aspect of New York. When you think of Broadway, you think about all those typical shows that that predominantly have
Fiddler on the Roof,
the sing songs,
Phantom of the Opera, Guys and Dolls,
all those musicals where, and even when they adapted Disney movies like Lion King, just with songs, with numbers, with feel-good moments, and they give you the same type of formula. With Lin-Manuel, he pretty much says, I'm going to show you what I do. And he does it really well. And if anything, I almost think watching that on Disney Plus would probably benefit people rather than going to the show, because at least with subtitles and stuff, you can hear it clearer. So every single word, you won't miss it. Because there are a couple of things that I when I listened to it first, I didn't even get it how much Lin-Manuel was making references to the hip hop history. Because there's a point where even in the first song with Alexander Hamilton, he says, "I am the ALEXANDE. We are," and I'm like, oh, I'm like that sounds familiar, but and when I see the subtitles, I see it's broken down like, oh wow, he's copying Notorious. Big, like he's because the NOTO, like yeah, he every single thing he did deliberately, and he says that in an interview. He talks about all the different. I'm like, oh wow, I didn't realize how
certainly
intricate.
he has influences. Clear influences,
and it's one of those things where he's putting it all together into a way that. It's funny. I almost think like people who saw it on stage were just like, I don't know what this is, but this is amazing because it was different. It was fresh. It was something that Broadway doesn't see often. It was 7 years from In the Heights, and now we get another one, but now this one is so much more poignant because it's about the history of how this country came to be through the one person pretty much the only person that had the foresight to create the financial infrastructure that we have today.
No.
And how it's lasted this long, you got me. But maybe that's the genius behind Hamilton, that he created something so immense, complex, and intricate that's why he was able to sustain all these years.
Yeah.
And you see what it took for him throughout his entire life, what he had to go through from beginning to end, and no short of having human flaws himself, and I think that's what makes this type of what do you call a hero story, so to speak, that much more poignant, because yes, you always see the stories of the person, the trials, tribulations they overcome to get to their goal, and it's funny. It's like he never, like most people who are perfectionists, most people who have a little bit of paranoia as well, they just feel like they're never going to get there. Yeah. That never done. There's a song called Nonstop because he's always moving. He the man writes like he has countless of books and different papers published about so many different things that
why is he always writing like he's running out of time?
Yeah, no, because he had so much to say. He thought so much all the time.
Yeah.
And Lin-Manuel, I feel like rap was the only way to convey that, to get all those words in, to put as much as you could in there, and even between every other character too. This is the first time I saw the ladies, give their their rap game was probably stronger than the men. Who knows? That's for you to decide.
I definitely have to give kudos to one of the actresses. I feel terrible. I forget the rest of her name. Her name is Renee. She plays Angelica, right?
Yeah.
Angelica, the second sister, the sister of Alexander Hamilton's wife. This girl has a song called Satisfied. This actress was part of the closing cast of Rent that was on Broadway. I saw that cast. I got to see that show. I even saw it in theaters when they did the film version. She can sing, but I got nothing out of her performance in Rent. I was like, oh, she's playing Mimi. She's not that great, but she's okay, whatever. She does the trick. She kills it in this show. Her song is amazing. Her rap game is on point, and she doesn't mumble, okay? She is articulate with every single word and letter, syllable, all of it. The only thing I will say, it as a negative, but not actually a negative, it's just a little pet peeve of mine, or maybe just a thing that I just want to be a dick about and talk about right now, is that she's the only person in this show that sings like it's work. Like when she sings, it doesn't look like she's acting. It looks like she is trying so hard to make sure she sings this well. And she does. She's amazing. Her veins are popping out of her neck. Her veins are popping out of her head. The only other guy, the guy who plays George Washington, that last song that he sang, he gave it everything. And he's not like a super duper crazy, operatic singer, but he kills it as well. And he gave it everything in that moment. And he's like about to cry. And I'm sitting there at home thinking, was this his last performance? because if it was, he can die happy. Like that was perfect. That was perfect. There's so many songs like that. Dear Theodosia is a very, very personal song for me, and I'm pretty sure it might be a personal song for you. It's a song that involves the character of Aaron Burr and Alexander Hamilton, and they're both singing to their newborn children, and they're singing to the children that we don't see as the audience, but when we see them singing, and we see the look in their faces and the look in their eyes, you can tell they're singing to their children about the beginning of their lives and what they hope for them and their future. And it's funny to see the juxtaposition of these two characters who end up being mortal enemies feeling the same exact thing in this moment because they both care about their families and their kids. It's a lot of beautiful moments like that. There's a lot of funny moments. The gentleman who plays King George.
Oh yeah,
I want to play that character on stage one day. I want to be this guy. He's hilarious.
I don't know. If anything, I almost feel like that's one of those like steal the show moments.
Oh, that definitely. First of all, the character of King George comes out on stage by himself and stays there. He sings a song, barely moves his body. His performance is right here. Right here. His voice is amazing. The lyrics are hilarious. He delivers it beautifully. He acts it so perfectly. And then he starts to make movement. But he's so brilliant in his subtleties that I just couldn't stop laughing. And of course, shout out has to go to the writers. I mean, these are some really funny lyrics, really great ways to make these words rhyme and come together to tell the story without feeling like it's forced. Like, we got to force this word into here to make it make sense. Like, it all makes sense. He was great. I forgot that guy's name. I feel bad. We should do better research before we do these videos.
Well, in terms of a rating, this one definitely gets the green light. Even though it's 2 hours and 40 minutes, you're not going to waste your time. You just need time to watch it.
Yes.
And make time to watch it whenever you can.
Yes. Green light for me. If that wasn't obvious already, check out Hamilton. It is currently streaming right now on Disney Plus. If you don't have Disney Plus, I say get it so you can watch Hamilton, because there's a lot of really other good content on Disney Plus right now. Hamilton is just one of them. So check it out.
And thank you guys for watching our episode. Feel free to leave your comments. Let us know what you thought, what your favorite song was in Hamilton.
Yeah.
And we'll see you in the next one.